Ethiopia is preparing for its 7th national election in June 2026. On paper, it is a routine cycle where millions of voters, thousands of candidates, and a calendar of registration, campaigning, and voting. But in practice, this vote is anything but routine. It comes only a few years after a devastating civil war in the northern part of the country, amid ongoing regional conflicts, and in a political climate where many opposition parties say the playing field is far from level. So what exactly is happening? Why does this election matter? And what are the big questions hanging over it? 𝗪𝘁𝗀𝗃, Chief of the National Election Board of Ethiopia, has set June 1st, 2026, as the date for the country's 7th general election. That vote will decide who sits in the federal parliament, as well as regional and local councils across the federal system. The timetable is already rolling. Candidate registration began on January 9th and runs through February 8th, 2026. Voter registration is scheduled between
March 7th
and
April 22,
with an earlier self-registration window opening on January 23rd. The official campaign period starts on January 9th and ends on May 27th, giving parties roughly 5 months to reach voters. According to the board, it is using new software for candidate and voter registration and is also finalizing systems for observer accreditation. This election follows a turbulent decade. The last general vote in 2021 was delayed from 2020 because of the COVID-19 pandemic, which sparked a constitutional debate and an extended term for the then-ruling coalition. After that, the country plunged into a brutal civil war in Tigray regional state that eventually engulfed neighboring states such as Amhara and Afar regional states from 2020 to 2022, which left hundreds of thousands dead and millions of people displaced. Even today, violence persists in parts of Oromia and Amhara regional states, and security remains fragile in several regions. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has framed the 2026 election as the best organized in Ethiopia's history, arguing the state has the capacity and will to deliver a credible vote. But major opposition party leaders remain skeptical. Several have said there is no enabling environment for free and fair competition, blaming restrictions on rallies, arrests of politicians, and crackdowns on the media. There are 3 big controversies swirling around this election. First, the political space. Opposition leaders argue that the government is still repressing dissent. They cite the imprisonment of several politicians, including sitting parliamentarians, and say security forces routinely block opposition meetings and peaceful protests. Second, electoral integrity. Critics worry about the independence of National Election Board of Ethiopia, the transparency of voter registration, and the fairness of the campaign period. Some parties have even threatened to boycott or limit their participation unless conditions improve. Third, security and logistics. Ethiopia is a vast and diverse country with difficult terrain and weak infrastructure. Holding a nationwide vote while parts of the country remain unstable and prone to militarized conflicts is a huge logistical challenge. At the same time, the federal government insists it is investing in polling station readiness, training for political parties, and digital tools to streamline the process. So why should the world pay attention? For Ethiopians, this election is a test of whether the country can move from conflict and crisis toward a more stable and inclusive political order. If it is seen as credible, it could help legitimize the federal government and give opposition parties an opportunity to gain power at the ballot box. But if it is marred by irregularities, violence, or a boycott, it could deepen polarization, fuel more unrest, and further erode trust in constitutional institutions. Regionally, Ethiopia is the second most populous country in Africa and a key player in the Horn of Africa. Its stability affects everything from migration flows to regional security and economic integration. As June 1st approaches, here are a few things to watch. Whether opposition parties actually participate in large numbers or stage partial boycotts. How freely campaigning happens in regional states like Oromia and Amhara, where security forces have cracked down on dissent. Whether there will be an election in the Tigray regional state, considering the ongoing tension between federal and regional forces. How smoothly voter registration and the use of National Election Board of Ethiopia's new software go, and whether observers can operate freely. National Election Board of Ethiopia has said it expects to announce official results on June 11, 2026, 10 days after the vote. Whether those results are accepted or contested may well shape Ethiopia's trajectory for years to come.